In today's video, we are doing so much down here in my fish room. We are unveiling some new plans for not one, not two, but 3 new aquariums down here. We are also unboxing some new equipment. We are doing some water changes and cleaning up a few tanks. And last but not least, we are adding new fish, the 90-gallon aquarium. There's a lot happening in today's video, so let's dive right in. So starting off with some of the biggest news is that I have a new custom aquarium that is in the works. It will be coming and going right here. So this is the entrance to my whole basement and fish room. And I'm gonna be moving this desk and the saltwater tank into a new location. And I'm gonna have a really big custom aquarium. And I think it's gonna look amazing right when you come down into the fish room. It's also gonna be a very tall tank, and I have some unique stocking options that I have planned for that tank. It's gonna be awesome, and I cannot wait. And in the back room, which is my work in progress fish room, I am finally making some adjustments. The shell dweller tank will be broken down tomorrow. I have the 40-gallon breeder there, but I have a couple more 40-gallon breeders right here, and I'm going to be setting them up soon, so much to come there. The 75-gallon tank right there with the Cuban cichlid is doing great. And then I guess I have another new aquarium that I haven't shown you here. Not a whole lot to see here. This is just another 20-gallon tank that I did set back up and started running again because I had some breeding happening with my Gymnogeophagus terrapurpura. And a couple weeks ago, I was able to scoop out a handful of those fry when they were really small, and I put them in here, and they didn't make it, unfortunately, but I am definitely keeping this tank up and running and cycled so that when they do breed again, I definitely want to scoop out those babies and grow them out in here, so that'll be really cool. And then of course I set up the other 20-gallon tank below it, which had our quarantine tank, our shipment from the last video, which were the angelfish, the plecos, and a banded leporinas. So much more to come there. And this is my upstairs desk where I have this 5-gallon smart aquarium with the beta here, doing absolutely great. You can see that there's some algae and a little bit of a drop in evaporation on the water line, so we're gonna do a quick cleaning here and get it looking good. So first off, on the 90-gallon tank here, we're gonna do a water change and change out some filter floss on the filters. And we are also going to work on the lighting. So you can see right now, we just have this really nice light. This is the Ecotech Radion, one of them from the original 500-gallon. But since we took the Kessels from this tank, we are replacing it with one Radion. But with it sitting flush on the lids right now, the corners on both sides don't have much light. And also it's just sitting right there on the lids, which is not good. So the plan is to screw it up to the top of the canopy so it's a little bit further off the tank, which would be a much better light spread, and it'll be up out of the way, and I think it'll look really nice. So I just took the canopy off the tank and I screwed in a little bracket that will hang the Radion. Now I'm going to secure the cord too so that's not in the way, and then we'll put it back on the tank. And there we go. We got the light on the tank, and it's a much more even spread of lights. The plants on the side are now getting enough light to be good. And if you look under the hood here, boom, looks nice and clean. So now we're going to do a quick water change and clean off some of the algae in this tank. I do have the 2 Bristlenose Plecos that will also be going in here. And there were a couple other comments on the last video saying that the Bristlenose Plecos won't completely clear the algae, that algae is good for the fish, all those things. And I never intended for them to completely remove my maintenance. I'm still going to be doing water changes. I'm still going to manually remove algae, but they will help a little bit to clear out the plants and the rocks to make them look a little better than if I were just trying to do it manually every time. So I just want to quickly address that even though I'm adding a couple cleaner fish to this tank, it doesn't take my job away as a fish keeper to keep this maintained. It will just look a little tidier with those plecos, plus I really like the fish, so that's why they're going in here. Okay, so we're just using the Python to do a quick water change, a little bit bigger than we normally do on this tank. And I also scrubbed down the panel with the flipper float on the side, and I'm going to add some root tabs for a couple of the crypts in the back and in the middle. And I also removed a Higher heater, which I've had on here the entire time and it hasn't had problems, but I'd always been worried about it. It's not a totally reliable brand, so I'm going to be switching it out for a Cichlid Scuba, which I've had on multiple tanks now. So water change is complete, and I did add the Cichlid heater here, so now we will just take a little bit for this to clear up, and it will hopefully look really good after this. So with more aquariums comes a bigger need to protect my basement from any type of power outage or flooding. And I've opened one of these before, but I'm going to show you the difference and what I'm going to use it for. Oh, this thing's a beast. Okay, so this is a new solar generator from Jackery, and I actually have opened one of these before on the channel, but it's really straightforward. Comes with some power cords, some instructions, but most importantly, this big old beast. Oh, there we go. That's the back of it, and that's the front. So this is the Jackery Explorer 3000 Pro, and this is going to be protecting my basement from power outages. And you may have seen a previous video where I unboxed the 2000, but I've used this a couple times already for power outages. I had one for about 5 minutes and one for about 30 minutes, and I rushed down to my basement and plugged in my aquariums to this. It would have been a disaster if it lasted longer than a couple hours, and this solar generator would have protected me from it. And the reason I even got one of these in the first place was because my brother Alec flooded his basement due to a sump pump that failed, and I just could not have that nightmare happening down here in my basement. And it is pretty regular to have power outages, whether it's a big storm or a snowstorm, and I did not want any of those issues happening down here with my tanks and with my increased amount of aquariums. So I'm actually going to be giving this one to Alec. And what's even cooler about the Jackery Generator is that it is solar powered. That comes with solar panels. These are the Solar Sagas, I believe, and I use these to charge it initially. But if I do have a power outage that's longer than, say, like 24 hours, which is kind of rare, but if it ever happened, the solar panels would be able to recharge this, so I would never lose power down here in my basement. And I'm getting some big tanks and big expensive fish, so I am doing everything I can to protect myself with a generator. And this will also be used for things in my house as well if I need it, but primary use will be for my aquariums. And this is the other very cool thing about this product, is this is a transfer switch. So this is going to be going near the fuse box and my electrical panel near the plywood tank, and this is going to allow the power to switch directly to this in the event of a power outage without me even needing to be home. And it's going to be just an awesome thing to have for peace of mind down here in my basement, and I'm really excited to have this for my home as well. So very cool. And also I am in the process of building a display case right next to the plywood tank in this corner of the basement to really make it look nice. I'm going to display some of my memorabilia from Aquashellas and things like that, but also I'm going to kind of hide the fuse box and the new transfer switch box behind this in a way that guards it from any type of water that would ever come down to my basement, but also from view because it's not aesthetically pleasing. So the actual box generator here will have its own cutout in that display case, and it's going to look nice and tidy. I can't wait to show that later on. Today is the day. These guys have gone through their 3 weeks of quarantine, and they're doing really well. The 4 angelfish, and the banded leprinus hides behind the filter sometimes. Sometimes he's hiding out under here, but a lot of people commented worrying that this guy was going to kill all the angelfish, thinking, I don't know, that this was a permanent home, even though it's just a quarantine tank. Quarantine tanks aren't always perfect, but I never intended the angelfish to grow up with the leprinus. I knew the leprinus could be aggressive, but he's been just fine in here. Sometimes people just assume I'm not thinking these things through, but as you can see, they're all doing good. It's time to go in the discus tank. All right, it is time. Let's go catch some fish. Angelfish number 1. Angelfish number 2. There's the second marbled angelfish. And the small angelfish. This guy's still pretty small. Hopefully he grows and doesn't get picked on too badly in here. It's the only one I'm really worried about. Now for the plecos. Real little guy. Oh, I got both of them. Look at that catch. Go little guys. Go to town on some algae, please. Alright, we'll come back and check these guys out in a while. I'm gonna turn off the lights and let them settle in. And here I'm just filling the tank back up. I had drained it a little bit just to catch the angels and the plecos. But you could see the leprinus is down there. maybe put on a little bit of size, but not much yet. He's gonna have this 20-gallon tank all to himself now. And then I'll upgrade his tank probably in a month or two. For now, it's all him. So one last thing I'm doing on the 90-gallon tank is I'm adding a Seachem Tidal 75. I'm actually going to replace the Pinplax canister filter that's on this tank because the flow is a little bit too strong for the discus and angelfish, and it's about 7 years old now and it's started to make a little bit of rambling noise. So it's just time to remove that and either use it in my fish room or just shut down that canister completely. And I love the Tidal, it's my favorite. And this will join the other Seachem Tidal on this tank, so it's really easy to maintain the exact same filter. So here is that Pinplax that we're gonna remove. It's been a workhorse for a while, but we're gonna replace it with something newer and more reliable. And you can see that the intake is sticking out as well because I had lost suction cups in the move to this tank. So it's just been kind of sloppy and I want to make everything look as good as possible in this tank. So here's the 90-gallon tank after it cleared up some, after the water change, after the filter change, and adding the new light and everything else we did to this. The angelfish are looking incredible and they are really settling in nicely. They eat very eagerly. They seem really personable and really comfortable in this 90-gallon tank. I think they're gonna thrive in here. And I'm also excited about the Bristlenose Plecos that are in here. They've gone to town on some algae already. I really like the albino color variants in a tank like this. And I think it just really rounds out this aquarium. Once those angels get bigger, it's really gonna fill in this tank. And I'm gonna be putting way more effort into this aquarium to make sure the plants keep thriving, that the algae stays down, and that we have a really cool ecosystem with all the differences in here with the angelfish. Hopefully the one yellow melon discus thrives and grows, but also the rummy-nosed tetra school, the small school of Corridoras, and the zebra loaches. It's a really cool tank setup that I'm really excited about and seeing the evolution of not only the fish, but the plants as well. So I'm really getting excited about the new aquarium updates, not only the 90-gallon tank looking better, the plywood tank coming along, the display case I'm going to build over there, the solar generator that's going to protect all of them. All the new fish and new tanks are really coming along and I can't be more excited to share that. So definitely subscribe down below so you don't miss a lot of those updates. They're going to be coming very fast. So thanks again for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.